While making my video on my doubts of Leah Ramini's nonsensical leaving of the Church of Scientology for the Catholic Church, a church supposedly committing abuses for a church most definitely committing abuses, I watched the Pennsylvania grand jury testimony to the press. And what was interesting is, as a former Satanist, of course, I'm very well aware, my father was a Satanist, like I said, I'm very well aware of the 1980s and 90s Satanic Panic, which was a bunch of ridiculous accusations against Satanists and others, and everybody was a Satanist, and all these daycares were supposedly committing these acts of satanic ritual abuse, which all turned out to be nothing, and the only answer was every police officer, every FBI agent, and everybody in the government had to be a Satanist, which, if anybody understands anything about keeping a secret, when everybody's in on it, it's absolutely impossible to keep a secret, okay? And in the truth, this was just a way to spread paranoia, to bring people to the Catholic Church, to bring people to the Evangelical Church, and when you really look at the ritual abuse, as was in that grand jury testimony, you see that the ritual abuse, whether it's homosexual sexual violence by priests and nuns, or whether it's female genital mutilation by Muslims, or whether it's the oral defilement of infants by mohels, these things are not being done by Satanists. These things are being done by the religious, by the Catholics, by the Jews, by the Muslims. Okay? So my point would be this. My point would be and also if you read the 11 Satanic Rules of the Earth, I believe it's number 9 is, you shouldn't harm small children. Of course, because if people read the Satanic Bible, they realize that children and animals are sacred to Satanism. And unlike religions of a spiritual nature, Satanism, which allegedly is a carnal religion. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not defending Satanism. I see Satanism as a distraction that keeps people from looking at the people doing this with the inconvenient name of Satanism, which causes people to look at Satanists instead of at priests and rabbis and freakos from the Muslim religion. Okay, but my point is this. My point is, Satanism is absolutely 100% against harming children and animals, as anybody would know, okay? Now, when people say, well, what about splinter groups and dabblers and things of this nature that probably do the things in the name of Satan all the time? How many people do things in the name of Christianity? How many, born-again Christians bake their children to get the demons out and things of this nature? My point would be, like, for example, this Zachary King guy. Now, he is somebody that's hilarious because people believe whatever the heck he says because he looks like he knows things. Well, when you really look at the evidence, for example, in the 80s, Lieutenant Colonel in the United States Army, Dr. Michael Aquino, they tried to ruin his life by claiming that he was committing all these acts of abuse against children. Turned out to be fake. But what's funny is when you look at where is the abuse validated, Catholics, Jews, Muslims, okay? That's where this abuse is actually validated. And yes, occasionally some weirdo, freako cult, like these splinter groups from the Mormons, these splinter groups from the Seventh-day Adventists. This is why what I promote, when I tell people to explore Christianity as a lifestyle, I'm not saying join a cult. Don't join an organized Catholic Church or some splinter group of the Adventists. I say literally, follow the teachings of the 8 Laws of Health by Ellen G. White. Okay? That puts you in sync with the universal laws that are expressed in other religions as well as Christianity. You can practice Catholicism as it's supposed to be practiced, but if you practice what the church is teaching, you're practicing a religion that is justifying homosexuality, justifying the torment of children, covering up the torment of children, covering up everything that is wrong. The Catholic Church has become more satanic, and not in a good way, and I don't mean satanic in the sense of Satanism being good and questioning and accusing the wicked. That's what Satanism is about, is accusing those that commit acts of wickedness. But no, I mean satanic in the Christian sense of the word. The Catholic Church, the born-again Christians, the Islamists, and the Jews are all the synagogue of Satan is basically what it is. If you really look, if you look at these things, you will see who is committing these acts of horror against children and against women and against other people. It's not Satanists. It's not pagans, although I would say pagans are more likely to be caught doing these things because of the people drawn to these things. And Satanism, like I said, is a distraction. The Satanic Temple, which is some kind of whack job thing that embraces Islam and all this other crap, that the temple of Satan, or the Satanic Temple, which is putting these Baphomets at courthouses and crap like that, that seems to be nothing but another distraction meant to confuse the people, okay? To confuse the public and to make the public look at Satanism and not look at the actual perpetrators. And if you look at these people, and I'm not saying they're doing it on purpose, I'm saying they're doing it because they're morons, okay? And this is the kind of people drawn to these things. And I don't recommend people become Satanists. I recommend people embrace the 8 laws of health. I recommend people look into the actual teachings of Christianity and things of that nature. But to actually look at watching that grand jury testimony reminded me of the horrendous accusations against Satanists that turned out to be bullcrap. But when you really look at who's committing these acts of violence and these acts of disgusting crap, and who's covering it up, who's shuffling these priests and nuns from place to place, these aren't Satanists doing this. These are Catholics. And people go, well, these aren't real Catholics. No, at this point, the Catholic Church has become so infested. And you want to talk about demonic forces. I don't believe in demonic forces. I believe evil comes from humanity. And the Catholic Church is so heavily permeated with evil. If you want to talk about evil, what do you call making a child mimic being Christ on a cross and be naked while you take pornographic pictures of them and things of this nature, or forcibly raping a girl and forcing her to have an abortion? I got in an argument a while back, like, where is the Catholic populace, the people in the Catholic Church, going to draw the line? When these priests start sacrificing infants to Baal? Because that's not far off. That is not far off with the way things are going.